drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah.
Okay, we're talking about Anna Maciejewski?
Maciejewska.
Okay, I'm not going to be able to say that. Finding Anna from Malvern. Ashley May, who's one of the people that's heading up this effort, and the effort is a little different because there's her parents are in another country, and there's not a lot of representation over here from her family. So she's kind of more than your average missing person because there's different barriers. There's cultural and language barriers, but you would think that if you went somewhere, there would be somebody to stand up for you. Not to say that the police haven't done it, but the police, the more you get structured, the more you get into something like law enforcement or even what we do in search and rescue, the more you're responsible for, the less you're able to do in some ways. And you have to do it as part of a system. I had to tell you, I can't do anything until I call it. But I didn't want to see you just spin your wheels, so I went to the meeting, and I went there unofficially. I went out of uniform. I sat in the back.
You went out of uniform. Does that mean that you just had the black shirt on without the badge?
Yeah,
okay.
I always wear black.
Okay.
I always wear
just
black.
Wanted to clear that up.
Yeah, it's a Johnny Cash thing. It's a tribute.
I understand.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I did that. And then one of the people that I had done work with, she refers to it as my Mark suit. And that kind of actually works. I didn't realize it. Not that I think that I wear bright, cheery colors or anything, but I didn't realize I was so almost mentally rigid. And I didn't use any word of any condition because I don't want to diminish any legitimate cause by associating myself with it, but mentally rigid, I'll say. And I listened, and I heard there was, there's always a little bit of crazy coming off the meeting. You're always waiting for somebody to go UFOs or Sasquatch, and there wasn't any of that. There's a little bit of me. But there's a lot of people that wanted to go do something. They wanted to go get dirty and do something. And that was refreshing. And it renewed my faith because I've always had a problem with these efforts that go from Facebook. They're starting to go from the Facebook ones are one thing because I think Facebook, I think your username should be like your address or your phone number. So if people don't like what you say, they can just go over and light a bag of poop on your porch and just make a statement there. Because I think it gives people what I call digital heart, where they say stuff. And I always warn families when they get on social media while someone's missing that people will say ignorant, horrible things with no knowledge, and they will speculate. And you can't take that to heart. Don't even look at that stuff, because I don't think that a lot of good comes from the social media things. That being said, in this case, I think that some has, and that you got people united and they're communicating, and they're largely keeping it under control. I mean, you'll tell me now and then and go, oh my God, somebody called and said blah, 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 or something. Every now and then somebody will come in, and that's par for the course. But overall, it's been really good. If you had to go back and do this differently from your involvement, what would you do differently? What would you change in it? What did you say? Boy, I wish I knew that now.
Well, I'm the kind of person that gets to where I get in life by making mistakes and falling on my face 50 times. So I don't know how much I would change.
Well, there hasn't been a lot of mistakes with this, and there hasn't been any backwards motion. I mean, it's been.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, based on the fact that none of us are in search and rescue, none of us have searched for a missing person before, none of us are in law enforcement, and most of our day jobs include calculating numbers or counting 2x4s. I don't think that we did too bad. I'm not the kind of person that necessarily has a problem telling people when I don't agree with what they're thinking. And I think I've done a pretty good job of when people come and they talk about psychics and they talk about mediums and they talk about things that I wouldn't necessarily sign up for or believe. I've quietly let them do their thing. But I think we've done a pretty good job as a group of sticking to our mission and adapting to changing as, as things sort of progress. And
well, you guys definitely have learned quick. And see, that's part of my problem with the whole thing, is that you shouldn't have had to learn. I watch people do this all the time, and that's why we're trying to push for something a little more than there is, because everything we do is response-based, and it'd be nice if there's something to mitigate the problem or to help people with those critical 3 days right after someone goes missing.
Well, and that's just it. I mean, even I didn't realize that all of those missing persons databases and all that stuff, you have to sign up for them. That's not like something where somebody calls you and says, oh, hi. It's not even like the AARP where they at least know you're hitting that age and they start sending you the cards.
Right.
I mean, they don't even do that. It's something where you have to provide the information and then it's listed. And most of them, I think you actually even have to go one by one. It's not something like where there's one and it alerts all the other ones.
There's no clearinghouse, and that's part of a service that needs to be, because in the midst of this, people aren't thinking about those things. And I often compare it to, if you have a fire at your house, you dial 911 and the fire department comes. But this is kind of like if you had a fire at your house and you had to buy a fire truck and shop for a fire truck.
Right. And even just, I'm looking at it as, a lot of the people within our group, let's call our local politicians. And because it's something that I don't think that happens very often in our area, I'm looking at it as like, should there be people within our counties who are responsible for helping to facilitate the in-between the police and the family, to organize this, to tell people this is the best thing to do. Get a Google Doc, and everybody who distributes flyers, you put them at these locations. These almost like a wedding planner. Like, this week you should be doing this. This week you should be doing this. By the 10th week, there's no reason to be doing that anymore. And where is that? Where do people get that? Because I don't think that that's something that exists. And if I, again, didn't have you, I wouldn't know that it should exist.
Well, years ago, we started something to try and do that called SARFAST. It's a family advocacy thing. And we do a couple cases a year. And we don't aggressively chase them down because we're dealing with active searches. And it also is a drain on our limited funds. There needs to be a place where people can go get large-scale maps printed. They can get flyers printed. There should be a place where people can go. It's like if your car breaks, there's a place you can go and say, my car broke, can you fix it? You don't go to mechanic school and learn how to do it and buy tools to use to fix the car and then done. And that's what happens with this. And that 3 days is lost, and you can't get that. And that 3 days sometimes is the difference between life and death. And I feel so bad because sometimes families are trying to raise the money to make flyers while their loved one is dying somewhere.
And that's the other thing too. Anna is just, that's what we're working on now. But after Anna, there's going to be another Anna. And there might be one 3 weeks from now, 3 months, but half an hour from now, 3 minutes from now, there's going to be another Anna. And it costs a couple of $100s every time you print 5,000 flyers. And okay, that's for black and white. Do you know how much it costs to print the colored ones? Everything that you do, there's a cost associated with it. And lots of families, they don't. It's not something, you don't buy insurance for it. It's not something they're planning on having to spend money to do. And then when you're in that and your loved one is missing, how do you have the wherewithal to organize your thoughts?
You don't, and people come in and take advantage of it.
Yes,
people
absolutely.
People that claim spiritual awareness.
Yes.
People that claim other things that will come in and find a person. And in 20 plus years, I've never seen any of those people solve anything. I've never seen them solve anything.
And that's just
or return money.
Right. And you're so vulnerable because you're willing to do anything to find this person. You're willing to literally spend any amount of money or do anything, and these people come at you and they are offering, oh, I can tell you where this person is, or I can just pay me and I'll go find them, and pay me and I'll collect the information. I'll work on your behalf. I don't.
And when somebody goes missing, it's unlike other things because there's a great equalizer there. Anna had the good fortune of going missing from a community that had some resources that mounted up behind her. Mm-hmm. You don't always have that. You have communities where people can't take off work. They can't give money. They can't give time. They're working 80 hours a week to not go to the poorhouse. But at the end of the day, she's still just missing.
Yes.
She's still just missing. The pain is the same. Pain doesn't care about income. Are there any things you've learned doing this that you can't unlearn, that you wish you could unlearn?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you'd think that, Anna came here 20 years ago from another country. And you'd think that in America, some of these things would be more ironed out and we'd be able to do better by people. And it's kind of sad when you think about how that's just not the case. And, they're just things along the way. You sort of just put the phone down and you're like, it's not how I thought it was at all. That's not how it works. It's absolutely horrifying to think about it.
And that's one of the things I don't want to say I enjoyed, but I was watching the group learn those things. And I haven't experienced it from that point of view in such a long time. It was good to refresh it. Like I said before, I've had police officers, I've had family members. I like to keep fresh on everybody's perspective who was part of the missing person process. And to watch what you guys were going through. And you guys had, for the bad situation it is, this is the best case scenario to have support for it. I don't see many people that have this level of support or are able to get the resources. You just had an event the other night, and they released those lanterns, and it wasn't a vigil. It was a
gathering of hope.
Of hope, rally for hope.
Yeah, we talked about how. I think one of my opening remarks was how the dictionary defines hope as a noun and as a verb. And through this entire process, I've watched all these different people who've been involved, different agencies, different politicians, the state police, Anna's family, live the word hope as a verb. And yeah, it was a gathering of hope. It wasn't a vigil. It's Anna's, there's so much hope that we'll find her. And there's so much hope that in our group that we can find her. And yeah, you meet roadblocks literally every step of the way. Whether it's just there not being enough resources to get phone calls back, or, people are on vacation now, or holidays, and Memorial Day seems to be a 5-day holiday now.
Yeah, and adults don't... Adults aren't under the same constraints when they go missing, because when we go missing, it doesn't get kicked up to urgent for longer because many adults have reasons to go missing. But there needs to be a way that people can just force ring the bell to say this isn't an urgent thing. You were trying to have gatherings at places, and places wanted you to wait for longer than you had. They didn't realize a missing person thing isn't in your face like a house fire, but the clock is still ticking. The urgency is there. Right. And the thing is, it's not in your face, but it's still there.
Right. And so, I'm calling around looking for places to have this gathering, and it's like, oh, well, we'll get back to you next week. And I'm like, listen, you don't understand. I don't want to rent a place or confirm a place. I want to do it on this phone call. Like, I'm not going to do it next week. So if you can't say yes right now, don't call me back next week. I don't want to talk to you. But thanks. Have a nice day. And so, that's what it was. And finally, the Dupertai House, have your wedding there, by the way. It's a great venue. The Dupertai House in Chesterbrook, she said, oh,